Hi, Rachel Cutts here. So I've been meeting some wonderful new people, lots of them, and they've been asking me more and more, what is releasing? What is this letting go? I wanted to know the same thing. And so long story short, in the 1950s, there was a gentleman named Lester Levinson who was sent home told that the doctors could do nothing to help him, that he had a fatal heart trouble and that he could die at any moment. So pushed to that extreme, he began to really go within. And he was a top leading physicist in his field. He thought he was the smartest guy around, but he realized that he knew nothing because he didn't know how to help himself in this extreme life or death situation. So he just started to go within and get honest with himself. And he began to notice that the more he let go, the better things became in his life. His health was completely restored. He had more peace and happiness and freedom in his life, all from the practice of letting go or releasing. He also realized that what he wanted in his life, his whole life, was to feel loved, was to be loved. But he realized that he only felt love when he was himself giving love. And so that's the basis of what we're doing here together. The art of love, self-compassion, the art of going within and discovering all the peace and prosperity that's already yours. And we discover that by letting go. Essentially, my story was that I was in such an extreme situation. I felt blocked on every side. I was in a very dark time in my life, and it seemed to go on and on and on. There were family struggles, and it was just absolutely breaking my heart. And I knew there had to be a better way. I was just on my knees mentally, and I feel like a miracle happened where I was in this dark place just reaching out for help. And I saw these two words flash across my consciousness. And in those dark moments, I've had experiences before where I'll get a glimpse of what I need to do. But in this case, the two words that flashed in front of my consciousness, they flashed in front of my consciousness like they were neon signs. It was that clear and that bright. And it said two words: let go. I knew that was the answer to my really heartbreaking experience in my life. I knew that I was doing everything but letting go. I was trying so hard to help my family and to solve the problems that we were facing. And yet, I wasn't letting go. So I began this journey of letting go. And everything began to change. The hardest part for me was realizing that it really could be that simple. That could it be that the answer to my troubles was right in front of my face, but that it was like my nose and I can't even see it? Maybe it's that way for you. Maybe it's really that simple. That was the hardest part for me, was accepting that it really could be that simple, that I could just honestly let go. And that's what happened. The first thing I noticed from letting go was that I began to just have more peace, and I could actually sleep peacefully. I had so much anxiety that I couldn't sleep. I was just so stressed out. But all of a sudden, I just wasn't as burdened. I couldn't really put my finger on it, except for the fact that I was practicing releasing in a gentle way. And then I noticed that fears that I'd had and a big phobia that I'd had, just they were like melting away, and I wasn't bothered by them anymore. I wasn't even specifically releasing around those issues. I just felt like more chill, more at peace, and I couldn't account for it for any other reason than I was doing this practice of letting go. Then I began to experience things that I'd always wanted to do. Like for the last 20 years, I'd had dreams and I'd hoped they would come true at some point. Well, they started to unfold naturally in my life without me specifically pushing or striving. They were just happening naturally. Again, the only thing I could attribute it to was the fact that I was really devoted to releasing and letting go and trusting. And then my income began to increase and then double and then triple and then quadruple. And I just noticed, wow, I'm experiencing more peace and prosperity in my life consistently. And it's happening so naturally because of this practice of letting go. And then I was inspired to create this opportunity for us to be together. Because in my releasing journey, I would reach out and I was new to it and I would say, help me, teach me, show me. And there are so many wonderful teachers, so many wonderful people who've helped me on my journey. But I really wanted someone to walk with, someone to be on the journey with me. There are times when I needed guidance, support. I needed to know that it was okay. I needed to know just that sense of companionship on the journey. And I thought, I'm going to create that for others, for anyone else who is really ready for, it's a natural shift, it's a gentle shift, but you're ready for a change. You're ready for a metamorphosis. And honestly, all I can do is speak from experience, right? And I don't want anything else for you, but for you not to take anybody's word for it, but to actually experience it for yourself. No more having to do or learn or study or do something new, but to actually just open to the experience of more peace, prosperity, well-being, harmony, insight, intuition, clear direction in your life. It's like the clouds clear. If you use the analogy of the sun is always shining. It doesn't seem that way when it's dark at night, but it's still shining, right? Well, that's the truth of the nature of who you are, is that the sun is always shining. And there are times when it seems dark. And there are times when it seems cloudy and confusing and overwhelming. And you may be in one of those times right now. But I assure you that they're just clouds that are blocking your awareness to the presence of love, the presence of support and care and well-being in your life. And you can just as easily begin to just be open to letting go. And I promise you, what begins to happen, the clouds begin to clear. Naturally and gently, without pushing. But my experience, it takes a sense of devotion to letting go. It takes a sense of commitment to the practice. And as you commit to the practice of letting go, with my support if you'd like it, the others here in the community, as you begin to just ask yourself these few questions to begin with, could you let it go? Would you let it go? And when? It's just like holding an object in your hand. So go ahead and grab an object in your hand. And okay, so I'm out in the woods. I love being out in the woods. So you're gonna hear a lot from me out in the woods. So I found a pine cone. So any object that you have in your surroundings, grab the object now. Actually do it. Don't just watch me do it, but do it, because it will really solidify what we're talking about here. So here's your object. Hold it in your hand. Now this object represents thoughts, feelings, story, past, history, whatever, all of that. This is what the object represents. You just hold it in your hand. And the question I have for you is this object you? No. You know that you are not this object. And at any time, if you want, you can let the object go. So the first really simple question that comes from the Sedona method is, could you let this object go? Like, just could you? Not that you have to, not that you're supposed to, not that you're forced to, but is it possible to let the object go? The next question is, would you? Would you be willing to let the object go? Do you have a willingness or an openness to let it go? And the last question is when. When would you let the object go? Now. If you want, you can let the object go. You also don't have to let the object go. There's no forcing. This whole thing is so natural and so gentle. And so essentially, what was holding me back, and probably Lester in his life, was what we call resistance. All those awful feelings, all that just uncomfortableness in life, where it seems like it's one challenge after another. That's resistance. And what you resist persists. What we often do is we're so resistant to something, we don't want to feel that bad feeling, so we resist it. And then it just keeps persisting. Well, essentially, the art of letting go is a releasing art. It is just as simple as letting go of that object, but there's also an art to it, because releasing can happen all on its own. You do not have to force it, push it, or make it happen. Releasing can happen just by allowing yourself to be honest about a few simple questions and answering those questions with an honest yes or an honest no. But I really recommend answering those questions from your heart, not from your head, and allowing your thinking mind to take a break. And as you answer these questions from your heart, just honestly, and it can be so gentle and so private to you, nobody else has to even know. But as you're honest with yourself and you answer these questions, yes or no, the releasing happens all by itself. It's natural, it's gentle, and it's so loving. The other thing that developed for me was that I really began to learn to love myself, something that I essentially didn't know it, but I was in complete self-hatred most of my life. And when I learned releasing and I learned the art of self-compassion, everything began to change. And it wasn't hard. It was just a gentle one step at a time. And it was all through this being honest with releasing. So I invite you to check out the guided releases here. There's several that are available in the community. There's also a full guided releasing library. I created them initially for myself because I needed support in letting go. I was getting such wonderful immediate freedom and lightness when I would practice releasing that I needed it like 24/7. There wasn't always a person to help me, so I needed to have something, and that's what these guided releases were created for. And then more and more people said, this is so helpful. And so I created a library for you to release on different topics and subjects. The last thing I want to leave you with an overall introduction to releasing, is that there is no right or wrong way. And that each time you let go, even just a little, you let go for good. So this process is actually immediate. You'll feel a lightness. If we work together, or if you work with someone else, or you use the guided releases, you'll notice that if you're honest and you're answering from your heart these questions, you'll feel better. And it will happen pretty quickly, within a relatively short amount of time. Whatever is weighing on you or troubling you will feel like it's lifting. But it's also cumulative. which means that it gets better and better every time you do it. That's where the peace and prosperities come in for me, is that the releasing process. I love the fact that something I did years and years ago with letting go is just benefiting me now. So it's completely cumulative, meaning the more you let go, the better you feel, and the better you feel. The more you let go, the better you feel. And it just continues to support you. And it's the most simplistic, childlike, sweet practice in my life that has brought me the most benefits that I've ever experienced before. And it is truly my joy to share it with you and to support you on your journey. So you can check out the different resources here. We have the school community, we have classroom, we have calendars, we have live support calls, we have programs, we have these guided releases. We have so much support here to support you on your beautiful healing, releasing journey. Peace and prosperity to you, dear friend.